Have you got food? I can see something there. What are we on?
I splashed out a bit today.
You did as well, you actually bought them. Hello, my name's Martin. Welcome back to another video.
Yo.
This is James. As you know, we're down by the banks of the River Irwell in Salford. Just round the corner is the city of Manchester, but this is very much Salford where we are now. I'm going to turn the camera around because here where we are on the Irwell, you see that footbridge there in the background? Well, things used to look very different. In fact, where the footbridge is there, I don't know if you can see it, there used to be houses. So what's that all about? Right, so we're walking up onto the footbridge over the Irwell. Right, he doesn't get what I'm on about. He keeps saying, what are you on about? Houses, where the bridge was, it's a river. And I'm saying, I'll explain to you. We're in the floodplains of the River Irwell here.
Yeah.
The River Irwell, you got to imagine it before, you know, when Salford was just all fields and everything. The River Irwell meanders quite a bit around this area.
Like curves.
Curves, and it's on a flat plain.
Yeah.
So it has no, if it was going downhill, it would course downhill in a direction. It would have direction. So we're on the floodplains of the Irwell here, and there was a meander here where we are now, where we stood.
Yeah.
And it caused massive flooding.
Oh, did it?
Back in the day, yeah. So let me explain. That's the Irwell there, and it's running this way towards us. And there used to be a meander here, behind that building there. It used to meander up there. It went in a loop round here, and it came back just here. I'll be able to show you better on the map. Okay, so here we are in Salford. There's the River Irwell. We did the intro there, and then we walked onto the footbridge there. And the footbridge will play an important role, an important landmark in today's video. But this is National Libraries of Scotland, and it's going to allow us to demonstrate exactly what I'm talking about. So watch this as I change to the old maps. Take a look at this. There you go. There used to be a loop of the Irwell up there. That was the meander I'm talking about. And if we go back the other way, you can see that it's gone now. So there you go. There's an aerial photograph of the top end of that meandering loop of the Irwell. Quite a densely populated area, and it caused quite a problem with flooding in the area. Got some photos to show you. I think one of the worst floods was 1946. And these photos are Lower Broughton, Irwell flood. Doesn't give a date, but I think most of them are 1946 if you look at them. This flood, this really bad flood, gave impetus to the scheme that was going to try and correct it, called the Anaconda cut. So you can see how there was a big massive issue with flooding. So what the engineers came up with was, the solution was the Anaconda cut. Now rivers do this anyway. Yeah. Rivers sometimes when they meander, they form oxbow lakes, don't they?
Like we did in the last one.
Like in the Windsbrook, the way it was cutting its own path and was going to cut off one of its own meanders.
Yeah.
But the city engineers decided to do it for the River Irwell. Yeah. And what they did was, they cut this. So this channel down here that you see, this is, I can't use the word new because it was opened in 1970. This bit never existed. Where the bridge I'm stood on was probably streets and houses. This bit didn't exist. This is the Anaconda cut that was stood above on this bridge. So down there you've got Broughton Bridge. The river's running this way, okay, and it's running quite slow at the moment. The first loop was around about, the first part of the meander went there, and then it went behind over there where I've shown you, and it came back just beyond the bridge here. So this bit from just beyond the bridge to about here is the Anaconda cut. This bit is all new. Now what I've done here, again courtesy of National Libraries of Scotland, I've gone to the side-by-side maps, and the cursors will work in sync with each other. Modern map on the right hand side, or satellite view on the right hand side, and the old map 1892 to 1914 on the left hand side. So if we just go look at the right hand side for a moment, see where the cursor is there on the bridge. Remember, the footbridge is pivotal in this video. If we just go left into the river there, you can see we've got the remains, looking at the left-hand map there, of East Robert Street. And this is when I said to James, I said, there used to be streets there. He was saying, what are you on about? What are you talking about? But there you go. You can just see everything that got demolished to make way for this cut in the river. And if I just come out a little bit, there, you can see on the left-hand map, you can see the route of the river there. Strangeways, ironworks, gone forever. Sack manufacturing, gone forever. You know, these things. East Robert Street was in the middle of the river, or ended up in the middle of the river. But the Anaconda copper works has long since gone. And that's the interesting thing, all these little streets. But you can see what an industrial area it used to be. And you can see all the little streets that have long since gone. I mean, I say lost. I mean, you know, it was probably in the name of progress. If we saw all those pictures of the flooding, obviously that was probably fairly unsustainable, knowing that that could happen any winter. But if you look here, Chocolate Works, and the building to the left of it, look at both maps here. The building to the left of it, of the Chocolate Works, that is still there. There you go. I don't know whether these are the original buildings on the right-hand side here. But if you look on the left-hand side, part of the Chocolate Works is still there, and that will become pivotal again in our as a landmark in our video as we look at other things that have changed. One interesting point I want to show you: looking at the right-hand side here, can you see that thing in the river there? Look at that marking in the river there, and look how it runs with the left-hand map just at the start of the curve. I'm going to flick to Google Maps because it appears in Google Maps as well, because I wondered if it was like some kind of like, you know, mark on the map or something. But there it is on Google Maps as well, just a faint line. Whether these photos were taken at low water, but I wonder if that was part of the cofferdam that they put in to when the Irwell went up that way, and then this pit was cut. Interesting that, isn't it? There must be loads of pictures somewhere.
Yeah.
But they're difficult to find. Somebody will use it. What'll happen now is somebody will come up with a link and it'll show me loads of pictures of it after the video. I found a picture, an aerial photograph of them doing the work.
That's cool.
So no date on this, but I'm guessing late 60s, because a lot of the reports say it was completed in 69 and the river ran in 1970. But that basically explains the Anaconda cut completely, that one photograph. Absolutely fascinating. I would have loved to have seen it, or all being done. And think of the streets and the factories that have had to make way for that cut. But there you'll see, in the middle of the river there is the footbridge, and just beyond the footbridge is the chocolate factory. But the only photograph I could find of the work in progress. Somebody will probably come up with a load more now, but that was a brilliant photograph. Basically, it demonstrates what went on. It says it opened in 1970, so the river must have first flowed through this bit in 1970. So the work took years, you know.
Did it?
It said it initially 1951, and it opened finally in 1970. Imagine a lot of it wasn't the actual work. Imagine a lot of it would have been like
stopping the
river, you know, moving people out of houses, rehousing people, demolishing the houses. That
would have been the biggest challenge. Yeah.
It was a massive thing. They had to demolish houses, move people, rehouse them, and then obviously do the actual cut, then dam up the old loop. They must have done like, imagine, it would have been fantastic to watch on the day. Dam up the old two loops, and then open the new bit and let it all flow through.
You would have been right in there.
Oh, can you imagine if we'd have been able to see that?
You'd be
the
in
thing
there,
is, 1970, I was 3.
Yeah.
You was, I think your dad was 3, weren't it? So it would have been quite a thing to see, and a massive, massive operation. But hardly, I don't know. There'll be people that know about it, but round here, people don't know.
No,
people don't know it.
You could ask anyone; they wouldn't really know.
Yeah, but, well, if you ask them about the Anaconda cut now, they'll point to that bloody block of flats, won't they? This newspaper report is from 1970, and just quickly before we go on about the Irwell, Look at the left there, chance for problem families. So even in 1970 it says 30 or 40 problem families in the Lissadell Street clearance area in Pendleton are to be given a chance to show that they can amend the antisocial behaviour. So anyone looking back with rose-coloured spectacles, 1970, problem families even then. So it's not a new thing. Anyway, let's crack on with the report. Irwell improvement cost Salford over £2 million. So in brief, this report, it talks all about the Irwell and where it starts and everything, but it says the work, the Anaconda court cost £2.2 million. The councillor contributing 10%. It talks about the flooding, and it goes on to say about the real concern was it's joined by sewers upstream. I presume sewer overflows. But it's joined by sewers upstream, and the amount of pollution that's in the river, and all this is like leaking out. Every time there's a flood, this leaks out into the streets. So all those people we saw wading in those old photos must have been horrendous to wade in that water. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a walk down here. I'm going to take a walk down here because I want to take a look at one of the meanders, because I looked for evidence of it still existing and I couldn't find any. Okay, so we're walking across the bridge. Look at the right hand side there. Walking across the bridge, we're going to go up that street there next to the chocolate factory. But what we're going to do is, if you look at the left hand map where the meander went, on the right hand side you can see a bit of a clearing where it used to be. Now there's no reason why on the right hand side that should be clear and not built on, but it is. So I'm going to take a look at that. Over the other side as well, where the meander came back down, if you look at the right hand side, look at the left hand side first, see the river coming back down. Look at the right hand side, there's a clearing there as well. Now I understand that's a car park, so I'm going to take a look at that. And if you look there, I'm just going to zoom in here for you. If you look there, there was a bridge. What's it say? Simon Street went over the bridge. What was the bridge called? Sherborne Bridge there. We'll see if there's any evidence of Sherborne Bridge still standing, and we'll see if there's any evidence of this bridge here, which is Springfield Lane Bridge. So we'll take a quick look at that. So according to the old maps, all this here, which is now quite industrial, we're kind of just near Strangeways prison. This that used to be quite industrial was all houses everywhere, and these houses were prone to were victims of the flooding. So I'm now in one of those clearings you see behind me there by the mill. It's a car park, and there's no evidence here at all of a bridge, is there? But we literally stood on the bridge because this was the meandering loop of the Irwell. This mill here, see this nice bit of stone here, this would have been riverside, can you believe? And there's a nice bit of a remains of a chimney there. So what we'll do is I'll just take a walk on this car park. So we're literally now walking on the course of the Irwell. I'd like to say riverbed, but we're not. Crazy to think that all this is riverside, and we would have been walking in the river here, and these windows would have probably overlooked the river. I will show you some photographs later of this and how it looked. And then here we are at the bottom of the loop, and you'll see weirdly how it's been kept clear, and I don't know that there's any specific reason why it needs to be clear. Maybe it's just its location next to these buildings, and they've conveniently turned this into a car park. But when you look at the side by sides, this literally was where the river ran. And if you look here where James is going, there is a riverside path, and then just beyond that you'll see the river is there, obviously a much lower level, and they've built this area up over the years. Right, so this is the location of the second bridge. This was where the loop went down there, and again, weirdly, it's clear, but it never used to be because there's been a road and everything. There's no particular reason to keep it clear at all, but yes, there's no evidence here of a bridge at all. If you look at this, just nothing at all, not even a parapet. It's just gone. Nothing at all, is there? No. Right, so fortunately we're quite lucky that there's quite a bit of aerial photography from Britain from above here. So I'll try and get a date on this for you. But there's the loop. There's our loop. I think the river's going that way. There it is. And you can see how narrow the land was there in between. There's the chocolate factory. Remember we'll just zoom in a bit. Remember the square top on it, long building, chimney at the back. So we've walked up that way to check out the bridge here, which wasn't there, and we came round this way then to check out this bridge, and both bridges are completely gone. Look at the industrial, how industrial it was. Absolutely incredible, isn't it? All these riverside factories and everything. The one that we looked at is there, so we walked down there just a moment ago. I said those buildings in Riverside, it was these here. I think that's gone, because if you look at that, that's probably gone already. The footbridge would be here. So we walked over, so the Anaconda cut comes through here now. Our footbridge is here, chocolate factory, just so you've got your bearings. The Irwell at this point will be absolutely black and filthy and horrible. But I just thought I'd show you a very grim black and white view of the area that we're looking at. Fascinating, absolutely fascinating, but grim at the same time. I think the black and white makes it look really grim, doesn't it? There's what is the remains of the chocolate factory. Remember the square top on it? And the long building and the chimney. So we know that's the chocolate factory. We were looking at cream cakes, weren't we, and stuff, and chocolate eclairs. We went, no, get the custard creams, they're healthier. Healthier? Have you combed your hair?
Yeah.
Have you managed to get it to stay in one position? Mate, it's not windy today, is it?
What have you done?
I've cut mine, it looks good. It looks so neat.
I know, I've combed it.
It's normally got like a ruffle to it, a ruffle look to it, hasn't it? I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, you're right, James.
Is that nice, that custard cream?
Yeah, it's a much healthier version.
Egg custard.
Egg custard. It's a much healthier version of a cream cake, the egg custard. So if you're looking to change your diet to get slim and fit like me, not like James, convert to egg custards. Much more healthy than a full cream cake. Now, just a little side story.
Yeah.
You've heard of the band Joy Division, New Order?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, the lead guitarist,
yeah,
Bernard Sumner, lived in a house over here behind the trees there called Alfred Street, which has now long since been pulled down.
Yeah.
So if you read his biography, and I've started reading it but I've not got all the way through, but he talks about a house over here, hundreds of terrace streets down here, all of course which were getting flooded back in the day. I think Alfred Street was a bit further down, so it didn't get affected as much, but Alfred Street was over there. See the bridge in the distance, just this way slightly of it, on this side of the river. That's where Bernard grew up, and then they got given, as many families did during the slum clearance, they got given a new property, a new place to live, and it was those flats there. So why don't we take a look at the environment where Bernard Sumner of Joy Division, New Order lived. He says he lived on Alfred Street in Lower Broughton, obviously, as we know, long since gone, and it's not far away from our loop of the Irwell that went when they did the Anaconda cut, so it's all very relevant. How am I going to identify Alfred Street on the Britain from above maps? Well, I'm going to use this little this triangle here of houses. There's a pub on the corner, I don't know if we better identify that, but there's a triangle of houses here. There's Alfred Street where Bernard grew up, and if we go across the river, just here is recreation ground. Right, so we've got landmarks there, recreation ground. We might even be able to see that school, but recreation ground across there, triangle of houses, Alfred Street where Bernard grew up. Right, so from that map, there's the chocolate factory. There you go, chimney, square thing, square water tank thing. Footbridge is here. Me and James were just looking down the river down there, right? So we said we'd find Bernard's house. So where are we? There's the triangle of houses. There's the pub on the corner there. And we said Alfred Street was the one behind this triangle there. There's Alfred Street. So that's where Bernard Sumner grew up. I think till about the age of 10 or 11 or something like that. Obviously this is an earlier date, so he's a little bit before his time. Again, there's the river, there's Broughton Bridge. Do you remember when we said we'd find the recreation ground? So go across the river, and there it is. Let's zoom in. There's the recreation ground there. Swings. And this sort of like, I once heard an interview with Bernard Sumner from New Order, Joy Division, and he said, I think I was 10-year-old before I saw a tree. And I was like, whatever. But looking at this, you can well believe it, can't you? You can well believe it. Just look at this. So if we ever sort of wondered where the music, what area gave birth to the music of, I'm going to say Joy Division, the early days of Joy Division, this is the area that gave birth to the music. Obviously, Ian Curtis, the lyrics was from down the road in Macclesfield, but Peter Hook, Bernard Sumner were from this sort of area. I think Peter Hook just lived outside this area, from what I understand. Anyway, there you go. Let's move on. I want to draw your attention to this. I want to draw your attention to that chimney there and that. I think that chimney there is square. Call me old-fashioned, I think it's square. This one here is a round chimney. I've got a cracking photo to show you. Let me just jump to the maps. Bear with me, it's worth it for this. See, there's Alfred Street, what we've been looking at. See this here, refuse destructor. Corporation Yard, refuse destructor. I think that's the chimney. Or no, I think that's the chimney there, isn't it? That's showing a chimney. Normally it says, but on this map it isn't. There's that chimney. The other one's down here somewhere. But anyway, it's this one we're interested in. So imagine, let's go back to the photograph. Let's just go back to the photograph. Imagine a time when the Anaconda cut has been done. So the river's now running straight across here, right? So the Anaconda cut's been done, and it's probably, shall we say, early 1970s. All this has gone, and they built the flats here. They built some flats here that Bernard later moved into. I'm going to tell you about that in a minute. But they're pulling the chimney down. So across the way here, all this is gone, and you've got flats. Take a look at this picture. I can't remember where I found it, but it came, I've sat on it for a while, but it's come in handy for this video. Just take a look at this picture. There you go, weren't that a corker? What a picture that, and just shows you the way they pull these things down. So I hope that illustrates, particularly that, just how industrial this was. Because what I'm going to do, imagine we stood, where's the chocolate factory? We stood on the bridge here, and I'm going to show you that view in a moment, how it is now. But look at it. Even I find it astounding looking at all this. Absolutely astounding. All the industry and the factories. It is absolutely incredible. Is it good? Is it bad? Don't know.
Sure, because the world you grow up in makes the man, and the man makes the music, you know. So people ask me, what were your influences that influenced your contribution towards music of Joy Division? And obviously the environment, growing up in an industrial environment, it wasn't just industrial, it was a decaying industrial environment. It was the same in Manchester, and there was that initial wave of industry crumbling and people losing their jobs, and you're seeing this decaying, just visibly decaying landscape. It was factories that were no longer, the machines were no longer operating, smash windows. As a child growing up, you realise that there's something wrong, but you don't know what it is. So that has an effect on you.
So Bernard also grew up in those flats there. Now I've been trying to... What?
That's a bit of a downgrade from a house to...
Well, the thing is, the houses sometimes didn't have bathrooms.
Oh, did they not?
I mean, it was a downgrade for him. He talks about it from a social point of view. He said it was awful because he remembers being a kid and playing in the area, and the old people sitting out in the streets and everyone chatting, and it was a neighbourhood. And suddenly they got put into these flats, as many people did across the country really back in the 60s when these things were seen as the future. There's 3 blocks there. Well, there's some blocks beyond, but there's 3 blocks there. You've got Greyfriar Court, Newbank Tower and Riverbank Tower. I don't think it was Greyfriar. I was reading his autobiography like mad last night trying to find out, because I'm sure he names which one it is. It was either Riverbank or Newbank. If I find out, I'll mention which one it is. They've had a bit of a facelift recently, but it was either Riverbank or Newbank Tower where Bernard grew up, and probably when he formed Joy Division, he was living here in these blocks here. So where we are here, these this
caravan park.
caravan park here. I can only call it a caravan park. This used to be Greengate Mills. If you look on the old maps, and I'll show you, there was a big factory here called Greengate Mills. I do remember it as a brownfield site. My mate lives down there, and I used to walk his dog on this site here before the caravan park. And I didn't know what it was, and the dog used to run around, and it was just a big brownfield site and everything, and obviously I didn't realise, because it was before I made videos, what I was actually walking on. Greengate Mills. So Greengate was one of the main thoroughfares through Salford at this point. But for a while, the ornamental stonework from Greengate Mills ended up in the river. You know, discarded as it was back in the 60s and 70s, probably when this place was pulled down. And for a while at low water, people could see the stones and the writing on them. And eventually, somebody had the sense to lift them out and place them on the riverbank here, and they make quite a nice feature.
You were trying to get information, weren't you?
Yeah.
You were trying to get information about this Anaconda Court.
Yeah.
And what come up?
Well, if you look up the Anaconda Court, they've named a big block of flats over the back here. They've named it the Anaconda Court, and it's all like, you know, it's this block here behind me. I don't know if you can see with the sun, but it's the tall block there. Where am I? It's the first tall block there that's finished. And they called it the Anaconda Court after the feat of engineering. that big glass, it's an insult, isn't it? That big glass tower, a bit like all the rest of them. Not that I want to come across as a Luddite. But that's all you get now. All you get is information about that place and how much the rents are and everything. And what it's like to live there. And I'm trying to find information on the actual original Anaconda Court. And that keeps coming up. So I found it difficult to get information on this. See Reynolds garage there?
Yeah.
Reynolds.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, you might not be able to see on camera, it's the Reynolds garage. Been here forever, that, you know.
Was it?
Yeah, I did a milk round down here 1983, 40 years ago.
Bloody hell.
And the Reynolds garage was there then, and I think I served it with milk. 2 pints, Reynolds garage, when the main road there was Greengate. Greengate being one of the main roads in Salford.
Ah, yeah.
Now, amongst all these new developments here, all this here, we're near the Irwell here, we're near where we've been talking about. Look at that rope walk, that's an old-fashioned name for a... There is a remarkable survivor, and again it goes back to those days. I can't tell you, I could make an entire video about that milk float, milk down, you know, because I've just been telling him. I didn't enjoy it, but we came to parts of Manchester and Salford that I would later come to in these videos, and I saw it back in '83.
Yeah.
And it's changed so much, and now I have that to refer back to.
Otherwise,
and I would have never have seen it otherwise.
Yeah.
But I didn't enjoy it because it was like getting up at half 3. Anyway, summer of '83. But the remarkable survivor is Evans Street. So amongst all these new developments, Evans Street has actually survived, and there was another street on this side as well of it. I can't remember what it was called, I have to look at the old maps, but I actually delivered milk here in 1983. Things have changed.
I know.
Massively. And of course, just beyond Evans Street, we're back to the caravan park. The Blackfriars pub's over there, it's quite nice.
It does look nice, I've seen it.
We'll check it out. So we've just come into the Blackfriars pub.
Yeah.
Quite nice for food and everything, but we've managed to just, you can get a drink here as well.
Yeah. They've done this bit quite original, and at the back it's done quite like a nice restaurant. It's nice.
He wanted to call the video The House Under the Bridge. That's not a title that's going to throw people, is it? Where's this house under the bridge?
House under the bridge.
The house
in Salford.
Under the bridge in Salford. I can feel it. Anyway, right, well there you go. I hope you enjoyed that short video about a remarkable feat of engineering here in Salford, just on the River Irwell. So,
and if you're in Manchester, Blackfriar is actually quite nice.
Blackfriar is very... You like the Blackfriar? Yeah. Although we didn't check the prices of the food, did we?
We can get a pie, mash and veg, and a pint for 16 quid.
Is that good?
That's decent.
It's good for him anyway. It's good for him and his Oldham standards. Anyway, as I was saying, from Salford, the River Irwell, and the Anaconda Cut. Thank you very much for watching. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.
See you in a bit.